Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is scheduled to be sentenced on June 16th. Chauvin is being held in solitary confinement at a maximum security prison after a jury convicted him of murder and manslaughter for the death of George Floyd. The maximum sentence could be 40 years in prison, but legal experts say 30 years is more likely. The verdict last week brought calm to the Twin Cities and a renewed push for police reform, even among some police officers. Jamie Yuccas spoke to one.
As the country held its breath for the verdict, the Twin Cities braced for potential unrest, and then guilty. St. Paul police officer Antoine Denson was relieved.
Justice for the moment was served. We have a long way to go. We have a lot of police reform, a lot of culture reform that we have to work on as a police entity. But again, we shouldn't be in this point in the first place.
You're a police officer saying there needs to be police reform.
Absolutely, there needs to be police reform.
What does that look like?
That's the million-dollar question.
When you watched the trial and you saw one after the other police officer get up on the stand, do you think this is part of breaking that blue wall of silence?
Absolutely. I dislike the blue line. I understand the concept of it, but I mean, we're creating division, and it can't be a division amongst police officers versus the people. We are a part of the community.
Last year, shortly after George Floyd's death, Denson was spotted taking a knee and crying at a protest.
I'm not afraid to say that we have a problem within our law enforcement and our judicial system, and we've been crying this same fight for over and over and over again. Black Lives Matter is just not a movement, and I think a lot of white people think of it as a threat, and it's not a threat. It's an outcry for help.
Denson walks a fine line between being critical of the job and understanding its challenges.
Officers are playing modern warfare on the streets. It is a career of authority, but just we're using it to look down upon people. Well, let's stop looking down upon people and let's help elevate people.
So from a law enforcement standpoint, when you see all of these police interactions getting lumped together, what does it say to you?
Of course, no one wants to see an individual lose their lives. The issue is we're putting it all together, and it's causing such a reaction from the black community because it's so much pain, and I get it. It's so much pain, but to help us heal, let's look at every single incident as its entity and just deal with it in that manner.
Does it not speak to you that there's a larger issue of policing with black communities?
There's so many layers, and it's hard to, I guess, to feel sympathy with the history of law enforcement. I mean, officers are people as well.
Tearing down the blue wall of silence to build a bridge of healing. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Jamie Yuccas, Minneapolis.
I think the officers I've spoken to believe that once you feel like you're part of a community, you're better able to police it. And if you have that distance, it's a tough job.
The one thing I think we've seen since the verdict is that reminder of the work is just starting. This was not the end. This was just the beginning.
And a reminder, too, that the trial for the 3 other officers involved hasn't taken place yet. That starts in late August.